Now you're faced with the added cost of PPE, masks, face shields, gowns. Plus there's an even bigger hidden cost we're going to discuss in just a moment. Some of the insurance companies have said, well, they'll pay for PPE, but only for the next 60 days, while other insurance companies have said, we're not paying, period. That just leaves dentists and patients, so who's going to pay? That's exactly what we're going to cover, and we're starting right now.
And now, Amazon #1 best-selling author, Dr. Tom, the Gems Guy, Orent.
Greetings from Planet Gems. I'm Dr. Tom Orent, aka the Gems Guy, and welcome to the Dental Goldmine. Whether this is your first time here or maybe you've been with me for decades here on the planet, if you want to know how to protect your patients, your team, and yourself while still making a great living, you're in the right place. Be sure to watch the entire video so you don't miss a paradigm shift, a major change in a concept which will do better than just neutralize those added costs. This not so new concept, which nobody's talking about, will actually improve patient care and help you build wealth even in today's challenges. In this video, number 2 of the 6-week plan to accelerate practice recovery series, we're going to cover 7 gems. Gem number 7, we tried that during the AIDS epidemic. I can remember at least a couple times in my career where we faced significant increases in cost based on increases in health safety protocols. One of those times was during the AIDS epidemic. Although I never did, a number of our colleagues did begin to charge an infection control fee. Patients' reaction? Quite often they would say, don't charge me for something you should have been doing anyway. It didn't go over really well, so most of the doctors stopped charging it. From a historical perspective, if you had asked me just 10 days ago, would I recommend PPE fee being charged to your patients, I would have told you it was a bad idea, or so I thought at the time. Let me know in the comments below, have you ever charged a PPE or an infection control fee in your practice? Gem number 6, patients' reaction to PPE fees today. Last week I shifted from, no, don't ever charge a PPE fee, patients won't stand for it, to my current viewpoint, which is that I'm right now kind of on the fence. Last Wednesday night during a GEMS meeting with my members, I asked if anybody had started charging a PPE fee. Several of them who had just reopened said that, well, yeah, they're charging a PPE fee and they weren't getting any pushback. So for the moment, if you do decide to charge a PPE fee, practice the verbal skills with your entire team and ask your team to let you know patients' reaction. In just a moment, I'll recommend the verbal skills that I recommend your team use when telling your patients about the PPE fee. If you're getting value, hit the like button. If you're watching this before Thursday night, May 21, use the link in the description below to attend my free webinar, Your 6-Week Plan for a Rapid Recovery. I'll continue to work hard on this series, but during this 90-minute live event, you're going to get a ton of gems that you'll need for recovery all in one sitting. If it's after May 21st, you can still get access to a replay of my 90-minute webinar, Your 6-Week Plan for a Rapid Recovery. Elizabeth and I would be delighted to have you with us for a free test drive of GEMS Platinum membership. Go to dentalgoldmine.com. There's a link in the description below. When you start your free test drive, ask your GEMS concierge for access to the 90-minute Rapid Recovery webinar. Gem number 5, how to tell your patients about the PPE fee. If you've decided to charge a separate PPE fee, you'll want to work with your team on the verbal skill when telling your patients. Before I tell you what I'd say to patients, it's equally important to tell you what I would not do. Don't tell your patients about the PPE fee in an email or a letter you send them, or on your website or on a sign on your wall. None of those will go over very well. Instead, one at a time with each patient, when it's time to talk about the fees for treatment, then say something like this. Mary, we've always exceeded state and federal guidelines for infection control and patient and team safety. In order to continue to ensure your health and safety, and that of our team, Dr. Smith has added a number of health safety protocols, equipment, and additional supplies. Although it doesn't cover our costs, there is an X dollar per visit health safety fee. We always give 110% to ensure your safety, and we really appreciate your understanding. Insurance companies are aware of the increased cost, but many of them refuse to cover. We will send a claim on your behalf, but it's best to assume you won't be reimbursed. Doc, it's a really fluid situation right now. Some of the insurance companies said, yeah, they'll pay a small fee, but many of those said only for 60 days. Again, this bears repeating. If you do charge a PPE fee, and if you ask the patient to pay it, be sure your team keeps you informed about patient reaction. If you're getting value, hit the like button and share this video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you won't miss a thing. Also hit the bell notification so YouTube will tell you when I release my next video. Gem number 4. What could cost you more than the PPE, air purification, and surface decontamination? Lost time. Time is our greatest asset in dentistry. In fact, it's the only thing that we have to sell. Let's say your practice sees 25 patients a day. Now your number may be higher or lower, but the concept will still apply. Nobody knows exactly how much longer it's going to take to decontaminate a room and to put on and take off all the new protective gear. There's also no telling if or how the state boards might limit the number of patients in your office at any given time. Best case scenario. Let's say there's no restriction on the number of patients, and really the only change is an additional 10 minutes between patients. Here's the math. 25 patients times 10 minutes each times 5 days a week results in a loss of 20 hours per week. Sure, you could make up for some of that if you have many extra chairs and you and your hygienist could move room to room, and only if you have the luxury of extra team members who can be decontaminating those rooms while your hygienist and you and your assistant are moving on to other rooms with other patients. There is a better way to do dentistry, which is better for your patients, and it's a way you'll also make more money than ever. Gem number 3. This is really a reverse paradigm shift. It's a new beginning for an old concept. When Dr. Pete Dawson wrote the foreword to my second book, he said, and I quote, "Tom, you'll be a good missionary to carry forward the word about complete dentistry." Devil's advocate, not every patient needs a quadrant of dentistry, and some patients don't need inlays, onlays, or crowns. Agreed, but that said, just about every practice has plenty of patients who do have the need and would benefit from the care. Let's assume for the moment that you don't have a ton, but you could find, let's say, 1 or 2 quadrants a week. Inlays, onlays, implants, build-ups, crowns. Best option, lifetime dentistry. Now fees will vary, but a reasonable average might be, let's say, $5,000 for the quadrant. Adding just 2 quadrants per week adds $10,000 to your schedule and $500,000 per year. Plus, it greatly reduces the number of times each day you have to turn over a room and put on and take off all that protective gear. Over the last year or so, how many quadrants of best option dentistry have you been performing on average per week? Let me know in the comments below. If you're a general dentist and you'd like to be part of our community of dentists around the world sharing gems to improve patient care, have more fun in practice, and make more money, we'd welcome you to join our free Facebook mastermind group, Dental Goldmine. There's a link in the description below. Gem number 2, how do I go from doing 1 or 2 teeth at a time to doing best option complete dentistry by quadrant? Pete Dawson taught us that becoming the very best dentist you could possibly be happens in an instant. He likened it to flipping on a light switch because it's a decision that you make. Dan Kennedy taught us that the likelihood of a sale is far more dependent on the attitude of the seller than it is on the attitude of the buyer. And my friend Phil Corpy, who left us way too early, taught me to ask every patient before the exam, "Mrs. Jones, may I have your permission to tell you what I believe to be the very best possible care, the most predictable, the most reliable treatment, the same that I would do for my mother or my wife or my children. In fact, the very same care I've had done for myself." Just a reminder, if it's before Thursday night, May 21, use the link in the description below to register for my free live webinar, Your 6-Week Plan for a Rapid Recovery. Now I'm going to continue to work hard on this series, but in this 90-minute live event coming up, you'll get a ton of gems that you need for a rapid recovery all in one evening. If it's after May 21st, you can still get access to a replay of my 90-minute webinar, A 6-Week Plan for a Rapid Recovery. Elizabeth and I would be delighted to have you with us for a 6-week free test drive of GEMS Platinum membership. Go to dentalgoldmine.com. There's a link in the description below. When you start your free test drive, ask your GEMS concierge for access to the 90-minute 6-week rapid recovery webinar. Gem number 1, how I know that at least some of your patients will accept best option quadrant dentistry. There was a time in my practice when I knew what I should be doing, but I was not performing best option quadrant dentistry. Then one day, as Dr. Pete Dawson says, I flipped a switch in my head and I began to recommend what I believed to be best for every patient. One at a time, they began accepting that care. The more I practiced making best option quadrant recommendations, the more patients began accepting. There are 2 reasons that I'm confident that your patients, at least a fair number of them, will accept this type of care. First, I've worked with thousands of dentists over the last 20-something years. I've helped them go from no quadrant dentistry to performing several quadrants per week. Second is the story of what happened in Worcester, Massachusetts during a hepatitis C outbreak 2 decades ago. 2 of my father's general dentists contracted Hep C. He asked me to come out and give him a day a week to help him make up some of the lost production. I'll never forget my first meeting with the dental assistants. Early that morning, I met with the assistants who point blank said their patients would not accept my kind of dentistry. His practice was in an economically depressed area. They said, these are factory workers, union guys, no money, wouldn't do anything other than what insurance covers, don't bother trying. The very first patient I saw was a young man in his late 20s, and he was wearing blue coveralls with his name stitched in yellow, and he was from the local factory. I recommended a quadrant of onlays and crowns. His first response was that nobody had ever told him it could be done this way. He said yes, and he committed to the recommended care. He was only the first of many patients at my dad's office who accepted my recommendations for complete dentistry. I call my system for maximizing acceptance of one quadrant at a time, 4 steps to sell quadrant dentistry. If you're a GEMS family member, ask your GEMS concierge for help with 4 steps to sell quadrant dentistry. If you're not yet a GEMS family member, I'd be happy to share it with you for free. Elizabeth and I would be delighted to have you with us for a 6-week free test drive of GEMS Platinum membership. Go to dentalgoldmine.com. There's a link in the description below. If you found this helpful, there are 2 videos I'd recommend. Air filtration, aerosolization, and more, how to make your dental office safe for patients and your team, and also the video, Breathe This Way, You May Live Longer. Thanks for joining me here in the Dental Goldmine, and remember, you're only one gem away.